Well, I think that even before we talk about the international community, the resource of the people, I think for me, is one area which does not need a lot of investment that we have not utilized enough. Grassroots people, the women on the ground, who are 2/3 of caregivers in the formal and the informal system. They are nurses in hospitals, but also at home, they are the first ones to look after people. And in the context of Ebola, where there's touching and touching when there's a burial, that is an underutilized resource still.
Should African countries briefly have looked to outside help or gone for the self-reliance?
That as well, but fully utilize what you already have, because in this disease, just by educating people to avoid certain things, you prevent deaths.
I should say we have somebody in the audience from a manufacturer who manufactures incinerators, which are used, of course, have incinerated all that terrible waste, and he was telling us that actually to get the equipment to the afflicted countries took 3 months for the processes to work. So that's another reason why logistical delays means you can't just rely on outside help. Briefly, Jan.
Yeah, I think we need to be ruthlessly honest with ourselves. It's not either the international community or the African community, the countries that failed. We all failed. The local governments, the national governments, the regional governments, the international community. That's why 10,000...
the question was, should you rely more on outside help or yourself? That was the question.
We need to build the national capacity. It wasn't there, and of course then the international community should have reacted earlier.
All right, another question from our audience here. Herman Chinnery Hess, a well-known Ghanaian software engineer. Your question, please.
I don't think it is it's prudent in 2014, 2015 for Sierra Leone to be supported by the UK, a colonial master, Guinea to supported by France, and America Liberia supported by America. I think it's primitive, it's passé. That's not where we are. We are the modern African. We should move forward.
All right, okay, Herman, we'll take that as a comment. Let me come back to you, Ama Ata Adu. You've heard what our panel have said. So, where do you stand on the question you asked? Do you want to modify what you said?
No, I can't modify what I said. And in fact, almost as a direct response to the Honorable Minister from Guinea, I would like to say this, sir. We live in we've worked ourselves, Africans, into a corner where expressions like international cooperation, development partners, budgetary support have become euphemisms for describing, how dependent we are on the so-called international community. And this cannot be right. And saying that, the Guinea and Sierra Leone and Liberia are fragile simply makes some of us feel really bad.
Okay, all right. Let me just ask you, thank you, Ama Ata Adu. Let me just ask you, audience, where do you stand on this? Who agrees with Ama Ata Adu on this issue?
Well, you spoke very passionately and forcefully, but actually I would say that that is a fraction of the audience here agree with you. So it seems that, Minister, there's all to play for with your opinion.